people, well-meaning people,
Okay, that's good. That's it.
will attempt to define what should be urgent and important for you.
For you. Right. That's so good.
I say God's not the only one that got a plan for your life.
People do too.
Other people do too.
Other people do too. Have your life mapped out, planned out for you.
Yeah, you got to be able to balance that, right? Because I know some of you are like, man, when people gonna stop pulling on me and calling me or whatever? That's not gonna stop until you become irrelevant. Balancing immediate needs. Balancing immediate needs. You know, Stephen Covey kind of has this this rubric for effectiveness and priority setting and what's urgent, what's important, what's not important, and there are going to be certain things, right, when you're trying to rebuild that are just urgent, time sensitive. So when multitasking, striking a balance between immediate needs and long-term goals is crucial for your progress. All right, so this is important. So some stuff is urgent or immediate, listen to me, but it's not really as important.
I love it.
You got me? See, just because something is screaming for your attention doesn't mean it needed.
That's good.
Am I making sense?
That's good.
So when something comes up and it's like, it's urgent, I need you to, so for example, now I'm in a season, let's say if somebody hit me with something and they say, PD, this is important. Well, depending on who it is. But just like, let's say generally speaking, this is important. In this season of my life now, I have to say, okay, give me a synopsis of what it is.
That's good.
Right? Because you're defining importance based off of your understanding of important. And it doesn't mean that you're not important to me. It doesn't mean that I don't think that what you're about to articulate is important. It means that as I am juggling all that God wants me to steward, I need to be able to hear what it is that you're saying so that I know how to properly triage it, right? Does that make sense? So if I got somebody that's close to the edge and they're dealing with pressure and things of that particular nature, and they don't know what they're about to do, they feel like they're about to lose it, and then you got somebody who's like, I don't quite understand what you said in the message on Sunday. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not that the message part isn't important, but it is in the grand scheme of things. That person that is about to lose it is a person whose issue is important and urgent.
That's good.
And this is important, man, because when you're trying to rebuild, people, well-meaning people,
Okay, that's good. That's it.
will attempt to define what should be urgent and important for you.
For you. Right. That's so good.
I say God's not the only one that got a plan for your life.
People do too.
Other people do too.
Other people do too. Have your life mapped out, planned out for you.
Yeah, you got to be able to balance that, right? Because I know some of you are like, man, when people gonna stop pulling on me and calling me or whatever? That's not gonna stop until you become irrelevant. Listen, this is for people who want to first of all change their life and change others. You cannot do this without coaching and mentorship. I'm inviting you to allow me to be your coach and mentor. Become a part of my tribe called Daniel's Den, based on an individual in the Bible named Daniel who had a marketplace mandate. God's people doing good work in the public sector for the common good, using their influence, impact, and income to change the world. You get to help other people by making a difference in the marketplace, but you also get to help yourself because you're going to have more peace, more productivity, more purpose, and more profit. I'll see you in the den. That's only going to stop when you have nothing to offer.
Come on.
So as long as you have something to offer, that's what comes with it. So the responsibility is on me, and the responsibility is on you to properly balance the urgent and the immediate, the urgent and the important, excuse me, and triage it according to God's purpose, plan, and the priorities that you've set to actually bring that to pass.
And I think developing a priority matrix will help with that. Like, what do I need to do now? What do I need to do next?
Yeah.
What do I need to do later?
Yeah.
And what is it I don't need to do?
100%.
You know, just
100%.
this matrix. Like, I got to do this now. This is urgent. I got to do this now.
Yeah.
This can't wait. Or I can do this, but I got to do this next. What do I do next? Yeah.
That's good, because we all are going to be in that. We're all going to be in that position. Like, we can't avoid it, so we need wisdom to manage what we're not going to be able to avoid.
Whew.
All right, now, here's something else before we move on to this next point. As you're trying to do this balancing act, and I know you guys hear me say this a lot, but I'm going to keep saying it because this is what I learned. This is something that, like, I teach our leaders here, like, or I share even with our all staff at Change Church one time, that we're called to catch, carry, and convey a vision, and catch, carry, and convey values. Catch it. So this is what I taught. You don't catch it when you hear it. You don't catch it when you understand it. You don't catch it when you agree with it. You got to hear it, understand it, and come into agreement with it to catch it. But just because I hear it, understand it, and agree with it cognitively doesn't mean I've caught it. You catch it when you have a conviction about it.
Come on.
So there are a lot of things I'm going to keep saying, not because I don't have anything else to say, but because just because I heard it doesn't mean I got a conviction for it. Just because I understand it doesn't mean I got a conviction for it. Just because I agree with it doesn't mean I have a conviction for it. If you're going to live your life according to God's plans and God's priorities, you must be willing to live with the fact that you're going to disappoint some people.
That's good.
That's just it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. And that doesn't mean that you're trying to disappoint people or that you want to disappoint people. But you cannot let the fear of disappointment drive you, because you should be driven by the pursuit of your destiny, not the pleasing of people. So that's
And Pastor, I'm just at a point in my life, you got to choose who you're willing to disappoint. Like, am I willing to disappoint people, or am I willing to disappoint God? And I'm in a season in my life that, hey, as long as I'm straight with God, you don't want to intentionally disappoint people. But I think in this season that we're in, you got to be willing to choose who you're willing to disappoint.
That's good.
Yeah.
And I think we all have to be like checked on that from time to
Yeah, we
time.
do,
Because
right.
what you're talking about is Matthew 6:33.
Yeah.
Do I believe if I seek the kingdom first
Yeah.
and his righteousness, then all of these things, people being included in the things, the right people, the right provision, the right possessions, right, that they will be added unto me. Man, if I got to disappoint God to please you, something wrong.
Something wrong.
Something is wrong there.
My God.
So we got to keep that in mind. All right, we got two more. Here's number 6. Number 6 is this. Number 6 is time management. Nehemiah had to manage the physical work and the administrative needs and the proper allocation of resources. So effective time management, including scheduling and setting deadlines, enabled Nehemiah to multitask effectively. And guys, I'm not gonna like jump all into this. I do an extensive teaching on this, and I train people on this in Daniel's Den. And I know sometimes in church settings, people, they're really not interested in stuff like this, which I get. It's like, they're like, hey, just teach me the Bible. It's like, okay. But the Bible says, Lord, teach us to number our days, that we might incline our hearts to wisdom.
Come on.
Teach us to know our days are numbered. Teach us how to make the days count. Teach us how to make the days count. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Time management is the exercising of the theology of dominion over your activity.
Ooh.
So I don't even have time to deal with that. Like,
Oh, man.
my wife and I were having a conversation last weekend. It was something I was kind of frustrated about. And it actually just kind of gave me another revelation on like wealth. And how wealth is actually a weapon. And it is a weapon that you need sometimes to fight against injustice.
Yes, you're right. You're right. 100%.
A weapon that it is a weapon that you can use, that you can wield that weapon. Say, no, you're not gonna treat me like that. You try me, right?
Resources.
Yeah, right. So anyway, and I was like, babe, this was God's gift to me. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I got a revelation of what it means to be a king's kid in a different kind of way, because we aren't being handled justly.
Come on.
We aren't being handled properly. I know if my hue was different, we would have been managed different, because there was no other reason for us to be managed the way we were managed, right? And I said, I got a revelation of this. We king's kids. And this is why we need kingdom-minded people who are sitting in positions of authority in culture, so that they are administering affairs in a way that lines up with righteousness and justice. You see what I'm saying?
Got it.
We need dominion. So we should be people of dominion, right? And but the first place dominion starts, Socrates says this: he who wants to change the world must first change himself. Yep. So dominion begins with me being able to exercise influence over the way I'm managing my time.
Come on.
And so I won't go, we'll just like roll that out. Like there's a whole like process we kind of walk people through. But like I said, that's something a lot of times a lot of people don't want. So we just give it to those that want it. They're just like, just make me shout. I'm like, okay, God bless.
And I think even the psalmist tells us, like, Lord, teach me. So there's a, sometimes there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve. We have to be taught. The psalmist says time management is so important that this is something that he wants the Lord to teach. Lord, teach me how to number my days. And then it's not this thing like it's important that Lord, it's so important, time management is so important that I want you to teach me, but we got to be intentional about it. It takes intentionality. And I think very few things work without intentionality.
100%.
We got to be intentional about addressing it, acknowledging, addressing it, and being intentional about getting people to assist us once we acknowledge and address it.
I remember one time I was listening to this training this guy was doing, and it was a guy, I was like wondering like, yo, how you do so much? Like, how you get so much done? And he broke down the 168 hours in a week or whatever, like that kind of thing. So I walked people through that in the den, but so he goes through and he says something I'll never forget. He's like, basically say, God gave me this. Here's the one thing God give all of us equally, and that's 168 hours in a week. The difference between what is produced is not what God gave you, is what you did with it.